Hi, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the HollingsWorthless podcast. This will be for Wednesday, April 1st, but it's no April Fool's Day. We actually have Phil Fox. Fox like the animal is back.
Stop fooling around.
You sound really far away now.
Whatever.
You do, but
You're too
anyways.
far away. Oh, you know what? I was just thinking, now that it's in my laptop, I should plug my mic in too, right?
You could, yeah.
That might be a little bit better sounding for the listening audience, huh?
Great.
Let's give that a shot. This is a work in progress, folks.
So Phil's going to get his mic, and this is the first time Phil's been on the podcast since, man, how long has it been, Philip, since you've been on the podcast?
Since he hasn't been an idiot in a while.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about all that.
We'll get to what that means.
Let's see if this still working. Can you hear me good?
I hear you great, baby.
Let me see if this is, while you're doing that. Oh, man, I'm going to pause this real quick.
Okay.
All right, and we're back.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like your voice isn't traveling into my mic? I guess not, because we're on a fucking phone call.
It records on two different tracks, and you'll notice as we're talking, it lights up who's speaking. So we try not to talk over each other. But now I'm talking on the mic. Hopefully this sounds better or different. Anyways, Phil Fox, Fox like the animal, the original co-host, Fox, what's all the philanthropist, aka Motown Philly, aka
Horrorphil.
Chlorophyll?
Horrorphil. Like I'm
Chlorophyll's
horrible, horrorphil.
And chlorophyll is what they're saying is going to help fix the corona, right?
Yeah. Go drink chlorophyll and die like that fucking guy.
What an idiot. But so how long has it been, Phil, since you've been on?
It's been at least a couple months. I think when I checked my phone today, the last time we had a text message between us was in January, like the end of January.
Wasn't it around Halloween? Or maybe November?
Well, I mean, we've talked since then.
No, I'm talking about being on the podcast. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's probably been that long for sure.
Okay, and I don't know if you still listen or know any of this, Phil, but so on the podcast, I never said why you weren't. I just said that you were dealing with some personal stuff, and you were dealing with it on your own time, and when and if you wanted to talk about it, you would. And I guess now you can tell.
Are we here? Have we arrived? It's still fresh and early, but I think I'm going to have some success this time. So, you noticed I lost some weight.
Yeah.
I actually just weighed myself before we went on. And let's just say back in November or whatever, when I saw you last specifically, I was probably like 205 or something like that.
Right.
I just weighed myself, and I am...
Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
You were 205. I'm going to say 176.
Holy shit, that is exactly what I weighed. To the fucking T, Jay.
Dang.
Wow, what a guess.
Dang.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I weigh 176, and that is a lot of weight.
Do you want to tell or go into, and I don't, and this, just so you know, Phil, I don't want to do an hour of this in like because I'm sure I don't even know how much you want to even talk about it, but for those that are curious or that love you and have missed you, because people will, and I think I've tagged you in stuff when people have said stuff. I'll tag you in it or whatever, just to let you know people still thinking about you and everything.
Well, luckily a lot of people, we don't have a lot of people that listen, so it still remains a secret. I'm just playing. No, for those that are loyal fans, though, it might break their heart a little bit. It breaks my heart, certainly. But, yeah, I mean, to let the cat out of the bag, I lost a lot of weight, and not in the healthy way, but due to me being a heroin addict. So, yeah.
And just if there's any kids, which I don't know why they'd be watching or listening to this, but we're not laughing at that like it's a cool thing. It's just, it's an uncomfortable thing. But So
Very.
yeah, we'll go back to how it all came about. So the last time we hung out was at the movies, me, you, and Manny, right?
Yeah.
And Phil was late, which I mean that's kind of the norm. We were watching the Shining sequel,
Yeah.
and so Phil came late, and he's like he's doing Phil, where he's like, "Oh guys," he's bumping into everybody, being loud as shit as he comes in there. Oh, sorry. I'm like, just shut up. But then through the whole movie, I'm like, God, you're fidgety, and I was like,
Yeah. And I was kind of itching, but I was trying not to itch too much.
because you didn't want us to know.
Right.
And then when we got out of or when the movie ended, while we were in the theater, and I just looking at you, I was like, you're off. And so I just straight up said, I go, dude, are you on drugs? And then you were like, yeah. and then
Well, I mean, there's no point in hiding it. And I mean, depending on how far we go, but uh, fortunately within the last year, I would say I've told a lot of the people that are really close to me about this. And, in the reason why is so that it comes to light and it takes away some of its power, right?
mm,
Because keeping it a secret doesn't do me any good. And it only allows that addiction to, you know, take take a strong hold on me. So the more people that know, I feel like can kind of help support me. And you have, and Manny certainly came out in your support for me when you found out. And I appreciate that. And no matter how much you want to help that person, they don't always want to accept it. So you guys kind of faded off a little bit, and it's because I chose to continue doing bad. So it
I
sucks,
remember
but
I remember one thing you said, which like really hit with me, because I'm like, and I mean, anybody that knows me or has listened to the podcast, I'm like a square. The hardest drug I've ever done is marijuana,
right.
and I'm like, dude, what? And I remember I said something to the effect of like, dude, what are you doing? Or you need to cut that out. And your response was like, yeah, I know. That's why it's called an addiction. You think I
Yeah.
want to keep doing this? You're like, I know, I want to stop. And so, from
Yeah.
October or November, whenever that was, until now, like myself, I know Manny, Sean McCann, the Mechanable,
Yeah.
we would hit you up, and I had told you too, like where I was like, when you feel like you need to do it or whatever, call me. I'm not going to say that I'm going to talk you out of everything, but just call me, which you didn't take me up on it, which I get,
No, of course
whatever.
not. Yeah.
And
I wanted to use, man.
yeah. So right now you're 3 days
Yeah, I
clean.
have 3 days. So Saturday night I used last, and then whoo, fucking Sunday was rough. Withdrawals suck, man. Your body just aches. You're shitting your fucking whole life out.
Damn.
Just diarrhea, cramps, nausea, hot and cold sweats, achy. It feels like it's never going to end. But, if you can get through that, um, which I did, it starts to subside after a couple days. And fortunately, I have Suboxone, which is a medication that kind of hits some of the same opioid receptors that
Mm.
heroin would hit, but at the same time, it blocks some of those receptors. So if I were to go use, I wouldn't feel the effects of it. So in that
Mm.
way, it kind of deters you from wanting to use.
I thought it
Um,
was a new workout routine you were doing. Some boxing. Still got it.
yeah.
um,
I'm
uh,
gonna try some wrestling if this doesn't work out.
um, I mean, I like it.
But
Uh,
anyway, yeah. And like if you were to take it, I think you would probably feel high, let's say.
mm.
But for me, it it just makes me feel normal, I guess,
Okay,
in a way.
now, question for
All
you.
sorts of
So,
withdrawals and everything like that.
sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say, so when you've done it before, and like, let's say 3 months ago, your heavy usage or whatever. So you do it on a Saturday night And then would you always have that the next day where you wake up and you feel all those crazy withdrawals, but you would just do it again then so that those would go away?
Man, so I mean, I've been using off and on for a long time. I mean, I started on pills. I started with OxyContin, and I mean, fuck, man, it's probably been like 10 years, right? That I've been messing around with it. So it just gradually got worse and worse and worse. And so, like within the last 6 months, probably 6 months has been the most I've ever used. And so it used to be to where I could do it on a weekend and stop on Sunday, and I really wouldn't have withdrawal symptoms. Maybe I would feel a little bit down or shitty, but I wouldn't really like be withdrawing because I just don't think I had enough in my system to where my body was fully addicted. And then um, uh, I don't know how to put this, but don't find a drug dealer, kids, because I found a drug dealer, and man, that just the accessibility is insane. You know, you can
Mm.
literally get it on demand whenever you want. And so my usage went way up. And then, you know, there was never feeling shitty because I would never stop using. I
Right.
mean, within the last few months specifically, I would be using from the moment I woke up until the moment I went to bed. So,
That's
I mean, it would be all day, you know, sporadically throughout the day. But yeah.
so there's been a few things through this whole thing that like stick out to me. The one thing you were saying about like, yeah, that's why I'm an addict. That's why I do it. I don't do it. You know, I would quit if it was easy. If I wasn't addicted. Another thing that stuck out to me is, and I think I told you what Sean had said. Which, how old are you?
33.
Yeah, I think he said something to the effect of like, he's like, you don't see a lot of 40-year-old heroin addicts.
Yeah, and I want to turn 40.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and he also, like, you know, Sean, from uh people he knew in his past or whatever, he dealt with heavy drug users. And so one of the things he was telling me, he's like, I don't, while Phil's on that, he goes, that's not Phil. He goes, you just have to accept that that's not Phil. Because he's like, heroin addicts are scum of the earth. Like they'll do
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, you know, it's nothing to be prideful about, but I'm fortunately a highly functioning addict. I can still pay all of my bills and my rent on time, every time. I make it to work on time. Um, but you know, like I said, it's nothing to be proud about. You know, fortunately, I have never been driven to, you know, living on the streets or lying or stealing, you know, from people in order to use. But that's not to say that
You might
uh,
not have gotten there at some point, you know,
yeah,
we don't know. Yeah.
I definitely, yeah, I was very lucky that I never got in trouble with the police or cop in that regard. And yeah, I guess it never got so bad to where I drove myself homeless or whatever. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that doesn't take away from the severity
Right, right, right.
of the addiction either. You know, it still had a hold on me, and I'm glad that I'm fucking smart enough or whatever to quit. So I'm on
No,
day 3, and I have a sobriety counter app on my phone. I got online therapy I just paid a month for that I'm going to use through BetterHelp.
which
And
I'm by the way, I'm proud of you for doing that. And I mean, we had talked about that probably 2 months ago. I was like, dude, just, I'll call you tomorrow and just tell me that you know of one. You don't even have to say you're going. And then you didn't answer my call.
right,
Um,
yeah,
but um,
to buy drugs.
yeah. So here's a question I have for you, like, because they always talk about, like, with heavy drugs or drug usage, that the person, they won't ever quit until they hit the rock bottom or whatever. Would you say that that happened to you, or just or something else that's causing you, that you feel that is now really it's gonna really happen?
um, I mean, yeah, rock bottom is I guess it's so different for everybody, but the fact that just everything shit, right? You feel like shit, your body feels like shit. You feel lonely, nobody's around you that you get support from because you've distanced yourself from everybody, which is the wrong form of social distancing. Um, and uh, um, and
You were like, I was prepared. I was doing this way before
yeah,
the Rona.
but yeah, just socially isolated um, and just depressed and full of despair. And so it's just like, is this what I want forever until I die? Which, if this is it, then should I just fucking kill myself now, or or is there more, or is there a different way? And so of course there is. It's by fucking quitting. And um so I don't know, again, to the extent of what some people might have to go through in order to hit rock bottom. um I I don't know if mine was so terrible, but um feeling like, there's no hope is I think enough of a rock bottom. And that's certainly not what I want from my future. And I want to live a long time, and I want love, and I want fucking a marriage and children and all that kind of shit, and whatever the fuck future of performing or career choices may hold for me. I want to explore all those options, and none of those things would be available to me if I continue to use. So
True. And like, I mean, it sucked for, let's make this about me. It sucked for me in the sense of not having you on. Cause I mean,
yeah.
I mean, this, we've talked about this before. You add to this, like I mean, honestly, you're as much a part of this as myself, building it
Oh,
up. And,
thanks.
um, but
No, I obviously love doing it too. And again, when, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's definitely podcasts that I'm high on, um,
oh yeah,
whether,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, whether, you or people listening know it or not, it's just the truth. And whether I, was entertaining or tried to be entertaining is one thing, but the longer I continue to use, the more, again, like, I would self-isolate and then just not want to do it or put it off or make an excuse why I can't be available for it. And I mean, fuck, it's already day 3. I reached out to you today just to say hi, and fucking hours later we're doing a podcast. So
Right.
I mean, it's incredible how much you automatically want to, like, re-enter the social world as soon as you quit,
Oh yeah. And I also know, like, and we had talked before, because one of the things we were discussing is if maybe talking about it would help. And at the time, you were like, "Well, I got this job, and I don't know how they're going to react to that." And with the Rona,
yeah. Rona.
everybody's out of work. Now, what would you? And I don't want to, like I said, I don't want this whole podcast to be this, because
Yeah.
it's like I don't want you to feel like it's getting beaten over your head. But
Yeah.
honestly, most of this is because I know all this, and so most of this is for people that have been concerned about you, that are listeners and ask about you.
Sure.
So for anybody that's listening to this, and for yourself, what is it that about right now, this time, versus any of the other times that you've tried to stop, that you feel is different?
Cause I'm just fucking done, man.
Mm.
My life is just not what I want. Like I just said, the things that I do want out of my life, I want, and I'm done feeling I like they're without, like they're out of my reach. You know what I mean? They're not out of my reach, and the only reason they would be is because of my self-sabotaging. And so it's like, let's stop that. Let's work on ourselves, and let's go get the shit that I want out of my life. So um as motivating or inspiring as that might sound, it's a lot harder to put into practice than it is to say. Um but I'm tired. I'm tired of living that way. And I mean, even this last weekend, when I was using, my body fucking, I don't know what it was doing, but it felt like it was starting to shut down. I mean, even without quitting, I was on the fucking toilet for
Mm.
24 hours straight, just losing weight out of my asshole. And I was getting really scared. And, and then I quit, fortunately, but it just kept going. And it's like, that's on probably the very low end of health problems that I would be experiencing if I continue to go down the road of using. And I want to live as long as I can, and hopefully by quitting at 33 is early enough to fucking change my physical health around and still live a decently long life. I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably cut quite a few years off, but hopefully I can still push 60 or 70.
And
I don't know.
you can have some years, like you're not gonna. I mean, you continue on a path, you could be dead next year. If you,
Oh, yeah, and it's just the fact of what do I have that's so great to cherish and remember of the last few years, when all I have to look back on is terrible memories of going out to get drugs and then using them and falling asleep and forgetting, half of the fucking Tiger King because I slept through it. So I mean, I've only watched half of it so far, and I only watched half of that because I was asleep for the half of it because there it is, because I was watching it with my sister, and I'd be fucking nodding off on my sister, and she's like, "Let's just turn it off. You're not even watching. You're just sleeping." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry." So
I told Kev, I did Kev on stage's Righteous and Ratchet, him and Doughboy, and he had me and Trevor Wallace and Dustin Nickerson because we had to defend white people about Tiger King. And I
right.
told Kev, I was like, "You think this documentary is crazy? You need to check out Tickled."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Tickled is fucking insane.
I told him, I was like, "I want the report back after you see it." And also, I just wanted to say one other thing too about like all this. When I found out about all this, and maybe I'm just naive. I know you would smoke weed or whatever on occasion, but I didn't know you were doing hardcore stuff at the time. And when I did find out, that's when I was like, I can't have you on the podcast, dude, just because I don't know. It's just I told you I didn't want to be around that and all that stuff.
I don't
But
think you have to explain yourself, Jay.
yeah, yeah. Um, but I'll say this, and then we can move on. But I'll anything I can do to help, whatever it is. If we do this every day, if that helps you, then we can do this every day. We'll crank out episodes.
Again, this is why I called you today, Jay. I mean, we don't do the podcast because we just have amazing chemistry. uh, but I truly look at you as a friend, and I know that, or at least I like to think that I have your support, and I think I do know that. No, I'm just saying, you just offered it, and you know what I'm saying. So, that's why I called you today, because I was pretty damn sure that you'd pick up, and you did, and I'm really thankful for that. So thank you for offering your support. And fucking, if somebody hasn't came to how fucking gay this is by now, then I don't know what it's gonna take. But
Well, wait till we get into the second half of the podcast. All right, let's and if we can. Oh
yeah, but this is a work in progress, and I'm not gonna say that I'll never relapse. I don't want to. It's only day 3. It's very fresh, but I think I really have a lot of tools that I'm going to put into use this time, and this is not the first time I've tried to quit. So it's, I have practice at quitting, and I think that I'm so exhausted and done that I think this is just it's hopefully the last time.
If you could,
I don't need it to fucking happen again to quit. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah, doing this all over again sounds great. Like, fuck it. This can be it. And And that probably means that Phil can never drink again, which is a very sad thought. But you know, back in like September or October, I was clean for like a month, and I went and did comedy, and you know, some comedy pays in drinks, and I
Mm.
had a couple free drinks, and then after those two, there was a sober comic on the show, and I was like, "Oh, you're not going to use your drink tickets? Why don't you give them to me?" So I had him order a couple more beers for me, and then I'm feeling real saucy, and I'm up by an area where I used to know I could find drugs, and I
Mm.
was like, "Eh."
And you drove there intoxicated,
Well, I didn't drive to the show intoxicated, but I drove
but to
away
get the
from that show.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and
To go get drugged.
yeah, and so I was like, I'm gonna drive by this area. If I see some sketchy looking individuals, I'm gonna stop and, you know, chat, do a little stop and chat. And you know, I would have never even thought that if I hadn't been under the influence of alcohol. Um, so it's just I can't even have that influence in my body, which
Well,
sucks.
when you just reminded me one of your last times performing stand up, and I was there.
Oh,
y-
what? On your show when you invited me to your show and I was fucking blacked out
The
and did a
one
great,
when you opened with like 15 minutes.
yeah, on my phone when talking to friends. Is that what you're talking about at the underground or where?
No, no, no.
Oh,
In
back in,
Richland at Joker's.
oh, oh,
I don't
yeah.
think you were hammered then. I just remember you. Do you remember getting off and you're like, Jay, I just bombed. What
Yeah.
happened? You looked at me like, what happened? I'm like, it was your set.
Yeah, it was the most attended show of the weekend, and I was like, you know, if you're gonna have any success, it should come when there's like a good sized crowd, and that was my worst performance of the weekend. Was in front of the most people, and I was just crushed.
I just you doing your little quick walk off the stage to me at the back bar. Jay, what happened? I was like, I don't know. You bombed. What? And you're like, yeah, but they didn't laugh. They hated me.
I was just upset because I was like, I fucking maintained a positive attitude the whole time. I didn't admit failure. I fucking stuck with the jokes. Now, was my face reading that I wasn't admitting failure? Definitely not. My face was
uh,
definitely showing fear,
I
but
mean,
I was
me and Manny laughed.
yeah, for the wrong reasons. But I was not calling it out. I was really trying not to call it out that it wasn't going well. Um,
1 sec. I don't want any of this. No, thank you. Uh, Sorry, Philly. Well, all right. So,
I would just say to put a bow
a
on
bow
it.
on it. Yes.
Um, I would say if any of you guys have gone through anything similar and would like to offer your advice or kind words, or if you're still struggling, um, I'm definitely no authority on giving advice on anything, but I would be happy to listen and to either your struggle or your advice if you've had struggles. Um, and and where would you send me those things? Oh, well, I could tell you.
I love it.
You could send those things to hwppod@gmail.com. That's hwppod@gmail.com.
I love it. Uh, Let me ask you this, Phil. Has anybody you know or your family or anything? What's going on with the Rona? Everybody safe?
Yeah, mom thought she might have had it. But mom kind of always thinks she has everything. Um, so she didn't, but she was sick for a minute. And my sister called out for a few days. And she even said like her breathing kind of felt weird for like a day, but she ended up being fine. Until this last weekend, they found out somebody at her work did test positive
Damn.
for it. So she's been off work for a few days. And the last place I was just working, um, they shut down for a couple days, but they're continuing to work under severe cleanliness, you know,
Yeah, it's considered like
procedures.
construction stuff's considered an essential, right?
Fuck, no, I mean,
I mean,
certain
that's what the government looks at it as, right?
like any kind of housing or healthcare type construction is considered essential. But other than that, you know, what I was working on was definitely non-essential. And
Mm.
it was even reported in the news that my project was non-essential. Yet I'm pretty sure somebody paid somebody off in order to keep them fucking open for business. So it's what it is. But I will tell you, there was almost not one other construction worker on that site that was happy about the fact that they were continuing to work, because you have no control over what Gary's doing next to you when he gets off work, and where he's going and who he's talking to and touching, and then you got to see him again tomorrow, and fucking gross.
Now you're not going out, right? You're self quarantining.
Yeah, I've been at home since Thursday.
Saturday. Oh.
No, I've been at home since Thursday last week. For the most part, when I wasn't going out and getting high.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've downloaded the Nike Training Club app, which since you can't make it to the gym right now, they're offering their premium workout videos. Everything on their app is entirely free for the undetermined future, to help people get in shape at home. And so I actually did a little bit of yoga last night for the first time.
Well, dude, I was gonna say, I think it was when you were in LA. Remember when you lost all that weight in LA? When you were still dating what's her face?
Whoever.
No, the girl you live with.
Yeah.
Do you remember losing the weight or no?
I don't remember losing much weight in LA, but
Maybe it was right before you went to LA.
yeah, I mean, yeah. So when I was with her, when I first got with her, I lost a lot of weight. And that was
Well,
in Washington.
yeah. So
When I went gluten-free vegan and all that shit.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, you were like stubborn with it, like the stick-to-itiveness. I was gonna say, if you can apply that to either working out or avoiding or whatever, following your the 12 steps or whatever.
Right.
I
So
think
that's not, I mean, it's not healthy behavior still, but I have a very addictive personality. So whatever I do, like my dad says, he says, whatever he does, he fucking goes all in, I do. There's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out with me. It's either, if I am going to do it, I'm fucking, there's nothing else on my mind except for that one thing. And, that's not healthy, because then I burn out and I get overwhelmed, and then I fucking feel like a failure because I didn't get what I wanted out of what I was, pursuing. But it's just because I was trying to take on too much at once. And even with that, I mean, I lasted like 6 months. I lost weight and I felt great, but I was going so gung-ho for it that it was just unsustainable. And I was like, fuck, I gotta eat meat or something, I need a fucking Big Mac.
Well, let's I'll talk to you offline, but
But yeah, anyway, thanks for listening. I know that wasn't probably the most fun thing to listen to, but that's kind of what's going on with Phil and where he's been. And yeah, so
well, maybe we could have every episode we can have a podcast, like the checkup or something. I don't know.
And that's been the Phil Fox Detox.
I think what it all comes down to is what Bill Belichick once said, which is you just got to do your job.
You know what's great about Bill Belichick is that he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore.
That's why I'm not doing a Tom Brady quote. I got to do Belichick now.
Okay.
But okay, so the email's hwppod. So there's 2 P's in there. hwppod@gmail.com. Send any questions, comments, or anything. And Phil is at like the animal on everything.
Yes.
And I'm at Big Irish J. Upcoming dates, no idea.
First time ever.
Yeah, I'm gonna text you, or I'll talk to you after this, Phil. I'm about to go eat now, but I love you, and
yeah. And I just want to say, to end this on a positive note, I wrote some things I was thankful for today on Facebook, and I would like to just
let's hear it
with a few things that I'm thankful for, and that you know, maybe you might be thankful for, and you can share with us what you're thankful for in this time of in these quarantines, um, in this quarantine time. So
I'm sure
I just
you're probably like thankful for like restaurants out there delivering and stuff.
oh, you just looked it up, didn't you?
What are you talking about?
Yes, I'm thankful for restaurants and their free delivery.
The contactless pizza delivery, stuff like that.
Yes, God, you dick. Thankful to Taco
Taco
Bell
Bell
for
free.
Churritos Locos Taco today.
Pornhub,
I'm thankful for Pornhub and their their premium services for a week.
late night television hosts bringing it to their home.
Yeah, and showing us that the only real difference between them and us is a shit ton of money. And I'm thankful for my friends like Jay. We
You can
can
catch up with on FaceTime
yeah,
or
or
Zoom.
Zoom. And yeah, I don't have to make an excuse why I can't meet up because I can't even bring myself to shower, let alone the idea of navigating a human death machine on wheels.
And that people took the time to listen to this.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
those are the things I'm thankful for. What about you?
oh yeah, sure. No, those would be my worthy of the week, Jay. And you know what? The only thing that would be worthless is fucking COVID-19 and heroin.
There you go. It's a perfect way. All right. I'll hit you up later. I love you. Be safe. And I'll talk to you in a bit.
Love you guys too. Stay home, stay healthy. Bye.
Bye.